Just got home from work. Found out some interesting stuff today that I just couldn't believe when I found out what was going on. I wanted to share it with you guys out there. So it turns out that the U.S. Justice Department has been not prosecuting firearms-related crimes in New York, Chicago, and L.A. There are 90 districts, and the districts with the least number of firearm cases is New York, L.A., and Chicago. Three of the places with some of the highest gun violence, some of the most violent gun cities in our nation, and the U.S. Justice Department is not prosecuting that. They're leaving it to the state and local government. Now, you're like, well, why is that a problem? Well, let's take Chicago, for example. If I am a gangbanger in Chicago and I get caught with a gun on me, I spend right at about a year in Cooks County, okay? If I was prosecuted by the federal government, I would have a minimum sentence of 5 years. Plus, if I had any drugs on me, that would add per weight of drugs, however many years that is by weight. And since I'm a gang member, if I'm just a gang member with a gun, I get the 5 years plus a bump of like 1 or 2 years because they've written it in there in the federal statutes. So if we were using our federal courts to prosecute gang members with guns on them, they would be getting 6 to 7 years. And then each time that they got out and did it again, they would get a stiffer penalty. Okay, so the fact that obviously our president went to our attorney general and said, I don't want you prosecuting gun crimes in New York, Chicago, and LA, because that's the only way they could be dead last. The three places could be dead last in criminal cases brought up. I mean, there's more gun cases brought up federally in some podunk town in Iowa, in that district than there is in Chicago. That is ridiculous. 500 people a year get killed in Chicago. That would be far less if we were, by old terms, using the federal statutes to lock them up versus the local statutes. So, and what's the worst part is Obama used to be a community organizer in Chicago. He knows how bad the gangs are. You would think he, of all people, would want to use the federal power he now has to eliminate the gangs in Chicago, to go after the gang members in Chicago and put them away for 7 times longer than they're getting now and clean the streets of Chicago up. And what's he doing? He's letting them kill each other because somehow that furthers his agenda and makes him look better. I don't know if he did it because he wants to be able to say, hey, there are, he doesn't want anyone pointing and going, hey, why are Chicago, New York, and LA with all these strict gun laws, why do they have so much federal gun prosecutions? Is that why he did it? Maybe. I don't know why he did it. Other reason he could be is he wants those places to have gun violence so that he can push his agenda of gun control. Either way, he's letting people get killed in Chicago unnecessarily. He has the power to instruct the U.S. Justice Department to start prosecuting gang members with guns on them and getting them the real time they deserve behind bars. Instead, he's just letting Chicago local, who's overburdened in their jails and can't house them all, just let them recycle them back onto the streets. And it's just sickening to think that, his hometown, he's letting go to hell on purpose for whatever political reasons he has. That is disgusting, Mr. President. I am just so offended. But nevertheless, that's the situation. I thought I would make some of y'all aware of that since nobody in the news has ever bothered to mention it. And if you clearly do the research on conviction rates dropping from the Bush era to Obama's era in that city, you'll see that they've been declining year after year since 2012 and on. So again, our president is telling the U.S. federal attorneys, don't prosecute gang members in Chicago like you do the rest of the country or New York or LA. And a lot of people are getting killed in Chicago. 500 people a year are getting killed in Chicago. And if they just would lock these guys up longer, that number would drop so significantly if they could just take them off the streets. But again, that doesn't match his agenda. He's letting his hometown tear itself apart when he easily has the power. In fact, he doesn't just have the power, he pulled the power out of that area. He is a murderer. He's letting people die. His judgment, his telling them not to do the federal prosecutions in Chicago is killing hundreds of people a year.